All right, guys. So today we're doing the video from my meditation chair here. I'm in my office. So I've been really struggling with trying to figure out how I want to do this video because to me, this is one of those aspects of fitness that people just really struggle with the idea of they want to focus all their energy on something else and zero energy on that internal world. And I was been really fighting to figure out how I wanted to present this to people, what I wanted to talk about. And I think more than anything, you guys could do your own research on this. I'll put in some links for various meditation apps. That's a great place to start. But I wanted to go over my personal experience with meditation, how I got started meditating. And hopefully that'll help you guys understand how this could potentially benefit you, because to me this is one of the biggest things in health and in fitness that have helped me progress mentally, helped me progress physically, helped me progress in the most amount of ways. And to be honest, I feel a little bit ashamed that more people aren't participating in this, more of my clients aren't participating in this, because of the fact that it has helped me so much. For those of you guys who don't know, I started with 24 Hour Fitness because I'd lost 80 pounds. I'd broken my wrist and I gained a lot of weight, and I started running as a way to lose that weight. I got a phone call from an old friend of mine that I used to play soccer with. My goal was always wanted to play professional soccer. Ever since I could remember, ever since I was 4 years old, that's what my ambition was. My goal was to be a professional soccer player. And I got a call from a friend of mine who asked me if I could play soccer for him at UCR. He got in the head coach job at UCR. He was coaching the boys under 18 national team, and he got a coaching job at UCR. Wanted to know if I had any years of eligibility left, and I said, yeah, of course. He said, well, I'd like you to come play for me. I said, wow, that'd be fantastic. The only problem was that I was 240 pounds, and I usually play soccer at 180 pounds. So I was at least 60 pounds away from my soccer playing weight. That next morning I took off on a run. I ran a mile and almost killed me. And the next day I did a mile again, and it almost killed me. Next day I did a mile again, and it wasn't as bad, but still bad. Fast forward 6 months later, I was running 20 miles a day. I would just add a mile every week, and I was doing 20 miles a day, 5 days a week. On a sixth day I'd do a 30-mile run, and I did that for quite some time. At the time I was working for a pizzeria in Upland. I grew up in Altaloma, and I was living in Altaloma at the time. And the owners of this pizzeria had sold off the pizzeria to a Thai family. And part of their agreement was that there would be somebody there to teach them how the business was run. And I was managing the pizzeria at the time. I quit when they'd left because I was really, I liked the family. The family to me was part of my family. They were important to me. And after I left, they called me and said, hey, look, we sold the business, and part of that business was that, part of that agreement was somebody had to be there to teach them how to run the business. Would you mind being that person? And I really liked these people. They were a big part of my life at that point. And so I said, of course, I'd be more than happy to do that for you. And so I did, and I became attached to this new family who had just moved here from Thailand and were looking for a source of income, and to purchase this pizzeria as a source of income. Fast forward some time later, I was still doing my runs, I was still doing all that stuff, and they needed some extra help, so they had their son move from Thailand to the United States to help them out. And he was studying to become a monk, a Buddhist monk. And he invited me to go to the temple with him. And this was my first exposure to Buddhism, or to meditation, whatever you want to call it. And my first day there, I asked, I'm very inquisitive. I try to find out as much as I can about everything that I can. And I asked the monks, tell me about Buddhism. And he says, well, no, that's not the way it works. He says, just meditate and you'll find the answers. And I said, well, don't you guys have scripture? He said, don't worry about that. He says, just meditate and you'll find your answers. And so I started doing a meditation practice there at the temple with him. And then I started doing it on my own. But my first day there, I felt like I was walking on a cloud after I was done. I felt like I had this weight released off of me that I never experienced before in my life. And I grew up spiritual. I grew up going to church. I went through a very in-depth spiritual transformation as a child and as a young man. And it wasn't necessarily the religious aspect of it that got to me. It was just how it affected me physiologically. And an amazing thing happened was that I lost a total of 80 pounds during this time period of me running a massive amount of distance every day. And my eating was on point. Like I was eating one meal a day, and I can tell you exactly what it was. It was, this is the uneducated guess as to what you're supposed to eat. Broccoli, rice, and chicken breasts. And I'd have a beer every night for dinner. And I was eating so few calories, but for some reason I wasn't losing any weight, right? And at this point, I was working a massive amount of hours, and I was waking up every morning at 4 a.m. and I was going, I was waking up every morning at 4 a.m. and I'd go to bed at midnight. And I was working well over 100 hours a week. I was taking over 20 units at school, and I was just killing myself. And for some reason, I couldn't lose weight, even though I was extremely active. I was running sprints at night, and I was running 20 miles a day. I was practicing my soccer. I was in numerous soccer leagues trying to get better so that way I can perform at a level that I was comfortable with. And playing soccer, should I say. But I couldn't seem to lose any more weight. I was just stuck. And an amazing thing happened when I started meditating, which was that I started losing that weight again. And looking back, it makes sense physiologically as to why that happened. But far more important was that I came to realize something even much more valuable than the idea of, wow, I was able to lose weight by meditating. Because that is something that, it might happen, it might not happen. I'm not worried about that. There are some hormonal adaptations that occur with meditating that it probably would happen. But more important, what I came to realize was that ever since I was a little kid, I started working out at a very young age. I started working out when I was 5 years old. And every night I do push-ups, as many push-ups as I can. I do thousands and thousands of push-ups every night. I do pull-ups, I do squats, I do anything I could without equipment. Once I got equipment, I started using that even more. But one thing that meditating made me realize was that I was working out to distract myself from the thoughts that I was having. And when I wasn't doing that, I was eating to distract myself from the thoughts that I was having. And then eventually, I did this thing that I see every client do, which is that they work out in order to undo the damage that they did eating. And that damage that they're doing eating is just a distraction. They're trying to divert their attention away from those thoughts that they're having inside their minds. And to me, that was by far the most valuable part of learning to meditate, was that I was able to, without judgment, observe my thoughts and say, why am I having that thought? It's okay for me to have that thought, but why am I having that thought? And I just put it aside, I put it on a shelf. Instead of ruminating it over obsessively over and over again, and having to eat or drink, like, to be honest, I went through a phase of my life at that time period where I'd go out drinking every night in order to distract myself from my thoughts. And that sounds so bad, but how many of us are doing that with our food? How many of us are doing that with a hamburger, a cheeseburger, fast food, with candy bars, with whatever it might be, or even just taking healthy food and eating it excessively? in order to not have to deal with your thoughts. And to me, meditation was one of those things where it was going to make me into a different person. And it absolutely did. And I'm not saying that I'm a better person than anybody else because of it. I'm just saying that it's added so much benefit to my life, and I would hope that it could add benefit to your lives. This is where I do my meditation. And I'm not saying that I don't struggle with those thoughts still, but when I do, I have a tool that I could go back on and I can say, I'm going to calm my body. I'm going to calm my mind. And without judgment, I'm just going to let my thoughts occur. And a lot of times people think, I can't meditate. For some reason, I can't turn off those thoughts. That's not what it's about, guys. It's really not. It's about being able to acknowledge those thoughts and say, that's okay. It's okay to have those thoughts. It's okay to be this person. It's okay to be who I am. And one thing I found is that the more that I meditate, the less likely I am to overeat. The less likely I am to drown those thoughts away with my eating. So once again, this is where I do my meditation. You can do several different types of meditations. Whatever you guys want. I personally, I sit, cross-legged here, and I just relax, And some days I have earphones that I use just for meditation. Some days I'll use a guided meditation where somebody is walking me through how to meditate. And it's been 25 years, 23 years, I guess, since I started meditating. And I still find it beneficial to have somebody walk me through it. But if you are meditating, we do want a it's called gradual muscle relaxation, where you're starting off gently from the base of your skull and work your way down your head, and you're focusing that energy on that muscle and trying to relax that muscle as much as you can. Okay? There are feedback loops, and you guys will hear me talk a lot about feedback loops, but there are feedback loops that occur, and if I just tense up my muscles as tight as I can, I will become more stressed out. Your body, okay, if you just think about this along an evolutionary basis, the biggest stress in life has always been starvation. And there's one way to fix starvation, is by eating more. And if you have more food, you eat more food. Your body does not know the difference between starvation and the stress that you have at work. Your body does not know the difference between starvation and a virus that seems to be taking over the entire planet right now. Or at least affecting the entire planet right now. For many of us, we're going to deal with that stress the way that we evolved to deal with that stress, which is you eat more. Because if the biggest stress is starvation, over the vast majority of human history, that's the way the vast majority of us died, is starving to death. The solution to that is just simply to eat more. Right now, the solution might not be to eat more. In fact, eating more might make you more vulnerable to other issues, whether it be heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, all those weight-related diseases. But it could also be causing you to downregulate your immune system and making you more susceptible to infections. So just going through and relaxing those muscles, learning to decrease that tension will downregulate those stress hormones. And what I was going to say before is that if I tighten up all my muscles in my body, I'm going to create a lot of stress hormones. If I loosen up all those muscles in my body, my body will start to downregulate those stress hormones. Epinephrine, norepinephrine, and cortisol, your predominant stress hormones. That's not important as much as just knowing, stay relaxed, stay calm. When you're meditating, focus on those muscles. Focus that energy internally as opposed to externally. There's a lot of negative things occurring externally right now. There's a lot of positive things that are occurring internally right now. You should be grateful for that. Take the time when you meditate to be grateful for what you have to be grateful, whether it be your family, whether it be your relationships, whether it be the fact that you have a house to live in, whether it be the fact that you have air to breathe, whether it be the fact, whatever it might be, whether it be the sunlight that you have outside. There are so many things to be grateful for. You'll find that by focusing on that, it'll downregulate those cortisol levels. It'll downregulate those stress hormones. From there, some meditations will have you go through descending number starting off with 10 and down to 1 or down to 0. You could use that if you like to. There are other forms of meditation, things like transcendental meditation. To be honest, transcendental meditation, it just uses a mantra, and you have to pay a lot of money to get a mantra. I use the mantra that the temple gave me still when I do a mantra meditation, a meditation that uses a mantra. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you guys what that is or not, so I won't. If you guys want to go to the temple that I went to, the Dharmakaya temple's right around the corner from you. I don't go there anymore just because I got what I needed out of that. And to be honest, there was such an emotional response that I had the first time I went there. Part of me is afraid that I won't have that same response, and it'll lessen the effect of meditation for me. And to me, meditation is very valuable to me. Something that if you want to call it sacred, I would consider it to be sacred. Something that I found that has a massive benefit to me. But you can make your own mantra. It's just something that distracts your conscious mind while your subconscious mind is allowed to relax, is allowed to reflect, is allowed to refocus that energy internally. I'll give you guys some apps that you guys can use. But the big key is I would hope that after this video, that at least a small percentage of the people that watch this video decide to go on this journey of learning how to meditate, finding out what forms of meditation work best for them, exploring this aspect of health and fitness, and hopefully if we could do this, we could get off of that cycle of overeating to distract yourself from the thoughts that you're having, and then trying to work off the body that was created by your distractions, by that method that we all use as a source of distraction. I do too as well. Everybody does. It is a great way to distract yourself, is to give your body that pleasure that comes from eating. And it is. It is a pleasure, and it is a great distraction. But it shouldn't be your only method that you have in order to deal with life, in order to deal with your own thoughts. Hopefully you guys find benefits in this. One thing I will tell you, one of my favorite new phrases, and I wish I remember who I got this from, but it's a fantastic phrase, is that 7 apples on Sunday doesn't keep the doctor away. It's an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? And the reason why I like that is because, like everything else in life, if you do it frequently, over intensely, is far more beneficial. Today I was having a little bit of a stressful day, so I decided to make this into a meditation day for me. And so I'm trying to do as much meditation throughout the day as I can. But that's not necessarily the way I would suggest doing it. I would suggest doing it for 5 to 10 minutes a day. 20 minutes a day if you can, 30 minutes a day if you can, and work your way up to an hour a day if you can. There's a saying, I got this from the Buddhist temple. I'm not sure exactly where they got this from. I'm sure it's probably not ancient Buddhist text or anything, but there's a saying that if you don't have a half-hour day to meditate, you need 3 hours a day. That means that you're probably distracting yourself way harder than you should be, and you need to work hard to overcome those distractions. To me, the people that avoid turning those thoughts internally, they're always the people who need it the most. And I'm not saying that I don't need it, because trust me, I need it. I need it badly, like everybody else does. But it is something that's added massive benefits to who I am, to how I interact with others, and how I interact with my environment. And it's not just about having a nice body, because quite frankly, there are a lot of people out there that look fantastic, but that is coming from the exact same mindset as the people who are extremely overweight. And not to say that just because you're extremely overweight that you're trying to suppress your thoughts, but for some of those people, that is their mechanism for dealing with thoughts that they don't want to be having. For me personally, lifting weights was a way to deal with those thoughts that I was trying to distract myself from. I had broken my wrist playing soccer, And I gained a ton of weight. That's why I had to lose all my weight in the first place. And I realized very, very quickly that I needed that distraction. And as soon as I'd broken my wrist, I went to drinking to distract myself elsewhere. I went to overeating in order to distract myself elsewhere. And for me, it took meditating in order to go, you know what, let's address this problem at the root. And unfortunately, so many people, they're trying to put out, they're trying to address the effects, the side effects of their actual problems, which is that they have these thoughts in their minds that need to be addressed, that need to be dealt with. And that's okay. We all have that. There's nothing wrong with you for having that. Trying to run away from it, trying to suppress it is not the answer. Acknowledge it. Take your time. Allow yourself to have those thoughts. Allow yourself anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour a day, even 5 hours a day if you wanted to have those thoughts. And don't judge those thoughts. Just say, okay, that's fine. That's who I am. That's not who I am. You are not your thoughts, excuse me. But that just happens to be a thought that I was having. I am not that thought. And I think over time you guys will all come to realize that fitness and health comes down to so much more than just working out. And I would hope that you guys would all realize, like I have before in the past, and I still realize this, is that there's so many days where I'm just trying to outrun a bad diet. And the question is, why am I having that bad diet? Why am I sabotaging myself? What is happening there? And sometimes we have to shut off the mind in order to shut off everything else in order to really understand why that's occurring. All right, guys, I do hope this is beneficial to you. This is something, like I said, that I've really hesitated to put out because of the fact that this is something valuable to me that I found such a massive value to me. And maybe I'm just assuming that everybody else would find that same value in their life with this. But even if just one person finds that value, it's worth it. I have been very nervous about putting this out because if I don't do it correctly, there's a chance that I'm going to miss some people, and some of those people who need it the most are just going to skip past it. So hopefully this guy at least gives you the desire to go out and try meditating, to start that journey. And hopefully 20 years from now, you guys will be in the same spot where I am, where you have a chair that's dedicated to nothing more than meditating in your office, where you go through and find solitude and find peace. And when life is getting excessively stressful, you know how to shut off that stress. You know how to relax into a calm state, how to downregulate everything in your body and just relax. And not distract yourself with food, not distract yourself with working out. Because trust me, that's something that I've done before in the past. And coming from a fitness professional, somebody who gets paid to teach people how to work out, it's a hard thing to say that maybe some of you need to stop working out because it's distracting you, and start meditating and start turning your focus inward to figure out why you need that distraction in the first place. And then when it's time to actually work out, you'll receive the true benefit of that. All right, guys? I hope you guys are all healthy. I hope you guys are all safe. I hope you guys are finding ways to make your lives more efficient during this time. And hopefully this can be, hopefully you guys can find benefit within this. All right, guys. I appreciate you all. And I hope you guys are doing well. Have a